Hello, everyone. Gary Ryan here for Friday's Fed League Flash. It's finally Friday, but it's still not hockey season. But we have a lot of news. I'm going to jump right into it because there's a lot to cover. All right, we have a few transactions to mention. All right, starting off with the Columbus River Dragons signing forward Carson Andrioli. He's a true rookie coming out of Niagara University, which is an ACHA school. Um, over the course of his 4 years played, 90 games, 35 goals, 72 points, and 122 penalty minutes. So plays with a little bit of tenacity and has a nice touch too. Apparently, 35 goals in college. That's pretty darn good. All right, Watertown makes a couple of signings today. Um, First, the Butcher is back. Taylor Cutting returns to Watertown. That is probably no surprise to any of you who live in the Watertown area because you've been seeing lots of Taylor out and about at Rapids baseball games and at community events and doing photo shoots and everything. So, yeah, so Cutting will be back. Last year, he split the year between three teams. Started off the year with Binghamton, moved down to Motor City, and then he got picked up by the Wolves at the end of the year. He had a goal and an assist, and 156 penalty minutes in 29 games played. You're not going to get a lot of points from Taylor, but you're going to get a lot of muscle and a lot of tenacity. So he is back, as is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, a forward, he was one of the very few players who was at the FPHL camp this last week who had previous experience in the Fed. Caleb played 2 seasons ago, the majority of the seasons with the Port Huron Prowlers. And then he also appeared in one game last year as well. Over the course of the 2 years, 38 games played, goal, and 8 total points. So there's a couple of more folks with some FPHL experience on board with the Wolves going into their training camp, which is in just like 2 weeks, I guess, really. So yeah, free agent camp. They already have most of the 44 roster spots filled going into that camp. So, all right, Blue Ridge. Bobcats, they made a trade today, which we're going to talk about. Of course, obviously, you saw at the beginning of this video, trade. All right, but two things I want to mention besides the trade, as far as the Bobcats go. First of all, they have been garnering a lot of support. Um, it seems like every couple hours I'd go on to the Bobcats page and see they've got a new corporate sponsor. This company is sponsoring it. This company is sponsoring. They have so much corporate sponsorship going into this club. Obviously, the community is very invested in the Bobcats, and they had a special learn to skate, learn to play hockey thing at Apex Center a couple days ago. Had a huge turnout for it. So I know a lot of people were concerned going into the season. With Withville, that's a pretty small town. Are they really going to be able to support an FBIHL club? And I think they are answering the bell very clearly. Yeah. So good on the staff for the Bobcats. They've been working really hard, garnering all that support from different companies and businesses in the area, and looks like they're going to have a great year. All right, they did release a player today. They released defenseman Stepan Jurovich, excuse me, who did play with the Mentor Icebreakers in the COVID season. 7 points in 37 games played. But he was released today. Another team that lost a player today, but not because he was released, just because he's moving up. Riley Robinson played a couple years ago with the Watertown Wolves, then last year with the Danbury Hat-Tricks. He's got a couple of FPHL championships to his credit. He has signed a contract with the Knoxville Ice Bears of the SPHL. So he is going to end up being placed on the inactive list for Danbury. Obviously, they're going to hold his rights. God forbid things just don't work out in Knoxville. Riley will be back. Good luck to Riley. He had quite the season last year. Really, nothing that was amazing during the regular season. 28 games played, had an assist and a +9 rating. But then in the playoffs, boy, did he turn up his game. In 10 playoff games, had a goal, 3 assists, 4 points, and was a +13 just in the playoffs. So Robertson was a very big part of that defensive core that the Hat-Tricks had. So that's a loss for the Hat-Tricks, but the majority of the defensemen are coming back. I'm going to talk about the Hat-Tricks more extensively tomorrow's video. Make sure to tune in for that. Anyway, so they'll be looking to find someone going into camp to replace Riley Robertson. Those are some big skates to fill, let me tell you. All right, so now the trade. Let's get on to this. So things started off with one trade, and the reaction of Elmira's fans was amazing. So the Blue Ridge Bobcats sent forward Michael Phalangia, who they picked up in the expansion draft from the Hat-Tricks. They sent Phalangia to Elmira in exchange for defenseman Blake Cudmore. Now, this was a very good trade. Really, just off of just on the surface right here. Phalangia, goes back to a team that there's a lot more experience built up on the team. Blue Ridge is just starting off. Blake Cudmore would not have been able to earn a position in Elmira, I don't think, this year. I mean, he could have, but right now Elmira's got 12 defensivemen signed to the roster. They're going to be having a huge competition for those defensive positions going into the season. So he really probably would not have had a chance to play in Elmira, but he does in Blue Ridge. So Cudmore's in a place now where he can, hopefully play. Well, okay, so the reaction from Elmira fans is, yes, we got Phalangia. That's awesome. Hold the phone. Phalangia gets flipped back to Danbury, where he was last year, in exchange for Jesse Swanson, rookie out of the GMHL. And immediately Elmira fans went, why did we just flip him? I'll explain in just a minute. Okay, the trading wasn't done, though, because Elmira goes back to Blue Ridge and says, there's one other piece we'd like. How about that goalie, David Orsmag? So David Orsmag comes to Elmira in exchange for future considerations. So this is how it breaks down. After all is said and done, the dust settles, Elmira gets Jesse Swanson and Mag. Blue Ridge gets Cudmore and future considerations. Future considerations guy, I tell you what, he has played for every single team in the Fed multiple times, and he's got a proven track record. Anyway, Danbury gets Phalangia back. And I know that Coach McCurry was very upset that he couldn't protect Phalangia. Obviously, when the protected lists went out for the expansion draft, he couldn't protect everybody. Kind of had to leave Phalangia exposed. And I had the sneaking feeling that he was going to figure out some way of getting Phalangia back, and he did. So there we go. So that is what we're looking at now. Swanson, 6'8", played last year in the GMHL with the Edson Eagles. Only played 21 games, but in those 21 games, these are not fudged numbers. These are real numbers. 46 goals, 37 assists, 83 points. So he joins Ryan Fritz on the River Sharks. Fritz, of course, led the GMHL in scoring last year. And, I mean, these numbers are insane, and they didn't touch Fritz's numbers. So a lot of scoring power just got added to the River Sharks. Swanson also is not shy with dropping the gloves, getting rough and rowdy if he has to. Had 69 penalty minutes in those 21 games. So, as far as David Orsmag, he's a goalie out of Belgium. Played in the USPHL. His last team was the Ogden Mustangs. Posted a 2.23 goals against and a 933 save percentage. Good numbers. As far as Blake Cudmore, he played most of the year with Elmira. Started the year with Mississippi, and then there was a trade early on. So for the season, he had 44 games, a goal, 7 assists. And then Michael Phalangia, touching on his numbers, started the year again in Mississippi. I believe it was the third week of the season. He gets traded to Danbury, and he ended up just having a very pivotal role with the team. He's not going to lead the team in scoring, but he does all these intangible things really well. 40 games played, 11 goals, 12 assists, 23 points, and a +7. Not bad. But he's a speed demon, and his speed is just amazing. He's great on the forecheck, great on a penalty kill situation, and one of these glue guys. And that's the reason why Mercury went and got him back. So there we go. All right, speaking of the River Sharks, the other big story was the fact that the CCIDA, Chemung County Industrial Development Authority, that owns and operates First Arena, ratified the management team that they had proposed, a 5-member team, to oversee arena operations. They also ratified the purchase of a lot of materials, office equipment, plus the turf and the subfloor from the Professional Box Lacrosse Association, aka the Lacrosse League, started by former Elmira Mammoth owner Steve Donner. So the purchase was $85,000, and I'm scratching my head a little bit because, of course, you remember Donner was kicked out because he was in arrears nearly $250,000, utility costs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering if the CCIDA just said, we'll subtract $85,000 off of his bill. So who knows? But anyway, so as you know, First Arena has 2 rinks, the main rink and a practice rink. The practice rink is now going to become an indoor sports facility for things like soccer and that kind of thing, and all hockey operations, youth hockey, the Elmira Impact junior team, and the River Sharks are all going to be in the main arena. So I don't know how they're going to work that out schedule-wise, but they've got a plan. So last thing to mention, and this is a little bomb that I'm kind of doing a drop and run on. I apologize, but I'm kind of out of time, and this is a story that I want to investigate more. There are reports that the FPHL is looking at ditching YouTube and instead using a streaming service, a lot like the other leagues have, like the NHL and the AHL and the SPHL. So I haven't found out much detail with that, so I want to do more investigation on this story, find out what's what with that. But we'll let you know as soon as we find some stuff out. Remember to tune in tomorrow for a preview on the Danbury Hat Tricks. I'm Gary Ryan. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday. Have a wonderful night. This is the Fed League Flash.